Cotman, Crawford, and the Jersey Guy podcast.
Hey everybody, Kenny Cotman.
Lewis Crawford.
And I'm Tom Ramage, the Jersey Guy.
Yeah, that's great. What's up, gentlemen?
going on?
How goes today?
Good.
Doing good.
Everybody peace?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
It's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's good.
Excellent.
How you guys? Everybody's good?
Yeah, chilling, brother.
I hear you, man.
Enjoying life.
Every day, living the dream.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It gets played, though. People say that a lot now,
Yeah.
right?
Living the dream, because everybody knows there's a bunch
Always,
of young
Check
bogus
this out,
bullshit.
though. This is kind of like
Right,
a
so
dream.
this is right here. Yeah, when you told us about this one, I'm not gonna lie, I was like,
The line,
Yep.
okay, is a futuristic city project in Saudi Arabia, part of the larger Neom Development Initiative. It is designed as a linear city stretching 170 kilometers, about 105 miles, with a width of 200 meters, around 656 feet. The line aims to accommodate 9 million residents and is planned to have no cars, streets, or carbon emissions. It will rely on renewable energy, resources, and advanced technologies to create sustainable and efficient urban environment with a focus of walkability, vertical living, and high-speed public transportation.
Mm-hmm.
That's like,
That's
that
very
is
cool.
futuristic,
So-
for sure.
So are
Stuff
they
that we
trying
talk
to
about
make
all the
this
time.
Right.
The bluept for all new cities in the world.
Yeah, well, let's hope so, because if it
Sounds
works,
like you need to do that kind of design. It needs to be just a new city wherever it goes, because
it has to be its own entity.
You can't like make New York City that,
Right.
Because its infrastructure is already set up for subway systems and heat and all that. Like you'd have to completely gut the whole city. You wouldn't be able to do that. So, but it could be like for new cities, especially because it's in the desert. They're probably going to be using it. Well, it said they're going to be using like renewable sources, so they're going to be using like geothermal. I saw pictures
they're going to
of
be
it.
using
They're
solar.
the outside of the whole structure is mirror. Is like a mirror, like chrome or glass or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's supposed to reflect the heat, so there's no,
Right.
it's in the desert. So so they don't have to, keeps the city cool.
Right. Listen.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, well,
They have all that money.
Dubai.
And the reason they're doing it, too, is to get away from using oil.
Right.
Which is funny because Saudi
a lot
Arabia
of it.
makes a lot of money off of oil.
Well,
So I'm assuming they're thinking that at some point it's going to run out.
So a few years ago, several years ago, Saudi Arabia, well, just out there, Middle East, okay, they knew that they're going to be running out of the resources, out of fossil fuels. So what they started to do, and that's where the Dubai came from. Like that was the idea of building an entertainment, spot, place. So they have, the F1 racing, they got the motorcycle racing, they've got the tracks, they've got for horse racing and all these things, because that's what they were trying to do, make it into something that's going to be known for something other than oil.
Right.
So all
They're
of
doing
the
all
sheets,
these like wonders of the world. type
Right.
things. They're building these mega structures.
Yep,
and-
they built
islands.
property. So I don't know. I think we talked about it before. So you can see it from space now. They built islands in the shape of the life tree. The tree of life.
Okay.
So they built it,
And
and
there's
each
structures
one,
on 'em,
and
too.
there's houses and stuff on them because
Where is this at again?
in Dubai.
Okay.
And they did this so that this way people can go there. The super elite rich go there and they buy the islands.
Okay.
And like I said, that's what Dubai, that's what Saudi Arabia, Middle East, that's what they were doing. They know that they were going to, fossil fuels were going away. And this is what they started to do. And they what?
I'm sorry. And the very first thing that they built that was big was the world's first 6-star hotel.
Yes.
So it had amenities up the wazoo.
Yeah, literally from ground to ceiling. That's where the
So
Mission Impossible.
Okay.
which one?
That Tom Cruise that he jumped from out of the building.
Yeah.
That's in Dubai.
Okay.
When he's running in the
Oh, yeah,
thing.
that was a crazy
It was
flick.
3, I think it was.
Yeah.
And Fast and the Furious, they filmed it out there, and it's just all these movies because that's what they made it.
Right.
So now them building this city,
It's just great.
The line is just proof that that's the wave
Well,
of the
yeah,
future.
but here's my thing. That's great. And let's hope, how will it be regulated, though? Because of where it is, too.
Explain. What do you
So
mean?
it's going to be in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
So how would it be regulated? Would the laws be the
are
same
there gonna be,
in
like,
that
caliphate
environment
type
as they
stuff?
are?
Like they are, like they have like the religious police in Saudi Arabia.
Like
that kind of
what are the
stuff.
rules and regulations?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
not talking about. I'm just saying because it's
That's the way
in that country is being
is
built
Saudi
there,
Arabia, so they
so
do
it'd
have,
probably be
like,
under that
yeah.
law. So I don't know how strict it is there, or what you can and what you can't do. But it sounds like it's a very relaxed environment the way they're going about it, only because of they're not using renewable energy. I mean, they are using renewable energy, but they're not using anything else other than that.
Well, I mean,
Which is good.
The rules and regulations wouldn't. I don't think that there would be anything different from.
Like I'm saying, you're gonna still have to have. It's a lot of people, 9 million people living in there.
right.
You're gonna have problems. People living together, this shit's going to happen. You're going to have some kind of police or something that.
yeah.
Oh no,
I'm sure
no,
there's not
definitely,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How would you regulate? Would it be regulated under the rules? Like, so if we had one in this country, if we made one, it would be
would
based
be-
on our rules, or would it be
Yes.
different from that?
Yeah, no. It's going to be whatever country it's in.
It's got to be
Because it's a separate entity, is what I'm saying. That's why.
Well, I'm sure that they're going to have to.
It's its own environment.
its own environment, not as far as where it's being built. So you would have to live by the laws of that particular country.
That's what I'm
you know
trying
what I
to-
mean?
that's
Yeah.
what I was
Oh no,
getting at.
you lost me. I was like, wait a minute, you lost me. But that no, it's like anything else. Where you build it is where you'll have
Yeah,
to
it's just
do
a
those
city
rules.
in the country,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be like a place you travel to. It's going to be a tourist attraction.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. If we
Definitely.
had something like that here in the United States, that would be a tourist attraction.
Right.
So, there would be trains coming there. There would be,
Right.
highways
or whatever.
going there.
Right.
This thing would have to be super sturdy,
yeah.
especially because it's building where they're building it, and
Right.
there's
I'm saying.
crazy storms that happen in that place.
Oh,
Right.
the sandstorms is
Yeah.
Well, I think that has to do. That's the reason why it's probably a certain height, and like as you see in those pictures, like the. I know the it's got to be like reflective metal or something.
I'm sure everything
And
is going to
that's-
be
and that's. I'm assuming that's for geothermal use,
Right.
Keep the city cool.
Right.
there'll probably be plants and stuff growing everywhere.
Oh yeah,
And it's going to be
that's
by
the
the
way
water.
The pictures look, the conceptual
Yeah.
art looks
Right,
like.
It looks great.
It's got to be on the coastline, on a coastline.
I would love to go someplace like that
Yeah,
and see that.
As I'm saying, like I know a friend of mine, and she went to Dubai, and it was super cheap. Like round trip, last minute tickets kind of thing.
Right.
It was like $500 round trip. You got to find the right hotel and such. Whatever. But going back to what you were saying about the rules and stuff, Dubai is that next generation city. And you had to still follow the Muslim rules, the Muslim laws because
Right.
of where it is.
Right.
So I'm sure that wherever that they're building the line, where in Saudi Arabia that they're building
Right. It would have to- it would be
have
going-
on
yeah,
their-
I would think
yeah,
so.
definitely all day, But yeah, dude, listen, if we've been talking, we as a society have been talking about, a smaller footprint for everything. You know what I mean? And less emissions and global warming, and all that other stuff. So that then if this is going to be the first of its kind, that's going to make it where we can, just hopefully in some way, shape or form, change how we're living in other cities. Like we said, New York City, that we wouldn't be able to really, tear down New York City and
No, you'd have
build
to
it
build,
into
you'd
line.
have to do it
I
around
mean,
it.
I'm
Right.
sure there's things
You'd have
that
to. We would have to build from the inside out.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's things we might learn about these cities that we can incorporate into existing cities.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's some cities that are in hotter areas, like that are in deserts, and maybe like Phoenix, stuff like that, where maybe they would incorporate those like reflective walls to like keep the city cool.
Right.
There's different. We might learn things from it and be able to incorporate. I don't know if that's possible, or maybe because the wall would need to be enormous for the city. Maybe it's not possible, but I'm saying we can learn things.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
if it
Just use everything around you rather than creating stuff and adding to the environment for no reason.
way to go, and it's more
absolutely.
sustainable because you don't have to keep using a new source. It just
Right.
it's just
All the
there.
time, like repetitive.
Right.
The only thing you need maintenance on is parts and stuff
Right.
like that.
And window washing.
Fans, window washing. But I mean, like some of the stuff they use like for like you can incorporate into homes now. It just requires like a lot of drilling and stuff. So it does work better on new homes, like the geothermal, where like they dig in deep into the ground, and
You get your air conditioning from there.
it's 55 degrees, but
Yeah,
also
constant.
your heat from there, because it's easier it's cooler than outside. So if it's warmer than outside, if it's 20 degrees outside, underground it's still 55 degrees. So to warm that air is easier than to warm outside air.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I saw that.
You mean to cool outside air?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like the water, also the water too.
Right.
You know, if it's say like a water baseball
Yeah,
heater.
I looked into that. I don't think I could get it here. I was like, that would be cool because you get your air conditioning from that. That's great.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's still it might run some air conditioning, you know, when it's really like no.
I don't think
It'll
no.
be the same. No, it's the same. 55 degrees.
Yeah, it's you wouldn't need it. Once you're in that,
Steady
the way it
50.
works, you'll have a nice temperature. You know,
Yeah, that was on this old house this past weekend.
Yeah.
was it really?
So yeah, no lie. Yeah, that was great. That's funny.
Yeah,
What were you gonna read though?
I was gonna hang on. Just how it's talking about the high speed transportation. The city will have efficient public transportation, reducing the need for personal vehicles.
No
Right.
streets.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that? That's awesome. That's
It's gonna
like
be crazy.
You know what that's like? That's like SimCity. Did you guys ever play SimCity when it came out?
Yeah,
A little,
A little
whenever,
bit.
but not for long.
In order to really get like there was always traffic. Once you get to a certain point in the cities, it was always traffic, and the only way to get rid of traffic is to remove all the roads and replace them with railroads instead. So it was just railroads go through the whole thing, and then all of a sudden, like there's no traffic and you don't have any problems. So it's like the same concept. Why have streets? Just sidewalks and like,
And then something that could
just
take you
some
from A
kind
to
of
B.
Mass transportation going up and down the streets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at how they.
Hopefully, we can get to that point.
Yeah.
You know that's the whole idea. That's
Right.
what everybody keeps talking about. Let's just hope it doesn't get corrupted along the way. That's the thing.
I mean, look at Japan. Well, just I guess you say just overseas as a whole, you know, and they've had the bullet train for how many
Oh yeah,
decades.
we definitely need that here for sure.
Right. So things like that, you know, they've been doing that. They've been doing the buses that have been, you know, just more carbon friendly, I guess, or you know, less of a footprint and whatnot.
Right.
And we haven't here. You know, we're still doing the car, the gas, and you know, running all these things like that.
Yeah.
You know,
But they're incorporating. You know, things are getting more and more incorporated into different things, and it's just a matter of time when we get to that point.
Definitely.
We won't be around for it when when it gets to like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only way we'd be able to enjoy that is if we actually flew out there when it was done. I don't, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. What did it
I'm
say,
sure it's
2030?
Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like 2030 is supposed to be like when they're like starting it and getting
Yeah.
into it. So you know what, bro?
I read they did scale it down from the original size. It was gonna, instead of being 3 miles, it's like 1.5 miles.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. I think it was like one of those things that like, holy crap, like we went a little over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think
Overhead.
about it. It's something brand new.
Yeah.
You know, so as long, I mean, they.
So this already started on the line.
Right. And then it's going to be open in 2030. Like
2021, 2030.
So another 5.5 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about it.
It's crazy.
A mile, if they're cutting it back, because, you know, it's to see what it is. Right. To start it out, get the materials down, you know, pat, know what it is that they're going to be able to need to then expand it, you know, and especially because they're going to want people to cut, you know, to quote unquote invest in
Well,
it.
there's probably a reason for why they're designing it that way. You know, why is it so
Narrow.
narrow?
I think because that it.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's using the energy of the sun,
Right.
and that's why it's narrow. Because I think those.
You can lose heat.
mirrors are doing something with this. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah. No,
I could be totally wrong. I'm just.
Yeah, I didn't read that far down. I'm not going to make you leave. You know, but I mean, I guess but it does. It makes sense. Yeah. You know, straight lines. You don't have to have and dig out more. You know, or move whatever curves. Just poof, boom. That's it. One way in, one way out. You know what I mean? Just right there.
Well, also the transit system, like you said, it's just have like all these things. Just running.
Just go straight line. Yeah.
So efficiency and proximity.
Okay.
The narrow design ensures that all amenities and services are within walking distance, reducing the need for a long commutes.
Yeah, so you don't need 12.
And promoting a more efficient use of space.
Right.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, that
there
makes
it is.
sense.
That's why it's so narrow.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. So 2 trains, one going north, one going south. And then you just get off and you got to walk 2 blocks that way or 2 blocks that way.
And there's a
sustainability, vertical integration.
Every quarter mile or something like that.
Now here's the thing.
It's a mile and a half. Actually, it's a mile and a half. There is nothing. You don't need 2 of everything.
Right, yeah.
It's just one.
Well, right.
And you have mass transit.
This is what it says. It says transportation, the narrow layout supports the use of high-speed public transportation systems, making it easy to connect different parts of the city quickly and efficiently.
Right. Well, I only say one south, one going and one coming because you can't have it running on the same track, when you're having that many people or expect that many people. Not everybody fits
probably
on
loops.
How long is
the subway system?
Well, yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's why
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
And then, so now, oh man, I was going to tell you before something I had known about. What was it you read? Something you read, and then we switched
is mass transit free too? Because that would be like
efficiency and proximity.
It should be free for people that live there.
Yeah.
What should be free?
It should be free for people that live there.
If there's no cars and you have to use transit, it should be free. It's for residents.
I'm sure. I can imagine that would make sense.
Pay like if you're free, your resident ID.
Yeah, something like that.
Scan it in, and then if you're like a tourist, you got to pay.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how that's going to work. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Or make it free for everybody. Screw it. If the residents can.
Well, yeah. I mean, again,
if that's the design where like it's reliant on mass transit, then like I don't know. But then again, a lot of cities you're relying on mass transit.
Well,
so
what would rent look like? You know what I mean? Rent is included.
Right. Again, this is so much more efficient. There's not a lot being used except for natural resources.
Right.
But even so, a mile and a half. If you're
9 million people. Man.
But I'm saying a mile and a half, you could technically walk everywhere if you really needed to. I mean, think about how big is Manhattan?
Mm-hmm. Well,
no, you're right. You could probably walk that whole thing.
What is the length of Manhattan?
I don't remember why you asked the hard questions, bro. Well, but still, you're right. And what I was going to say before, Jesus can't take you nowhere. But now here's the thing. But I just remember what it was because what he just said. Right. So many, many moons ago, and even now happening in the city, they had wanted to make a lot of the old buildings more efficient. How long is it?
Manhattan Island is roughly 13.4 miles long.
There you go.
And about 2.3 miles across. So yeah,
it's the original line.
So like, you know what I mean? It's like, but this is a mile and a half. So yeah, you could walk anywhere. Think about people in the city; they walk everywhere.
Right?
Yeah,
you could walk everywhere if
you
really need to.
Oh yeah,
you wouldn't need the
no super cardio going on.
Yeah,
ideally though, the most ideal place to live in that city is going to be the center.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
That's going to be where the highest rent is. Like rent is going to be cheap for people that live against the wall.
Hell yeah. But that's what the rendering looks like. The big stuff is in the middle. And that. Listen, I was gonna say before. The wall. But I was gonna say before. Yeah, right. Remember that. So when you are back in the day, they were looking at how to make the old buildings more eco-friendly. So what they started to do was build the rooftop parks and lawns and stuff like that, and gardens. So this way, the water when it came in, when it rained, it would filter through the grass and whatever rock and stuff that they had up there, and then that would be the water for the building. Go into tanks and whatnot. Same idea. It's the same thing. It might be easier than we are first thinking to make a city. Right. You know what I mean? Especially like Manhattan. Yeah, they have all that infrastructure. The substructures where the pipes are running, the heat, the subways and such. They might just be able to use that to get the thermal warming and cooling.
Well, yeah, I guess.
You know what the biggest problem is like we've gotten away from having trees in cities to widen roads.
Right.
To have that median in the middle of a lot of main roads.
Trees being in the city.
Trees being in them.
And
down,
Brooklyn.
Trees cool the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
The shade cools everything.
Right. Yeah.
You're destroying the shade.
Right.
What do you think happens?
Well,
they absorb the sunlight for the photosynthesis.
Right.
And now we're cutting it down, and now it's just hitting the ground and heating.
Sustainability is like what they're talking about by concentrating cities' infrastructure and population in a narrow space. The line minimize land use, preserves and surrounding natural environment, promoting sustainability and reducing ecological ecological impact.
And I know in a lot of those conceptual arts, you see a lot of greenery.
Yes.
And it's for probably that reason, because it absorbs the heat.
Right.
Yeah. Now, my son, when he was going to college, he went to Ithaca.
Yeah.
One of their buildings, at least at the time, had a roof where it was live, it was plants.
Right.
And it was built that way, to be energy efficient. It was pretty cool to be in it. Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice building. So they're starting in a little, some places they do it at certain things. Hopefully that's their way of experimenting, to saying, okay, this is, some point we can do this with everything.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So that's what they've been doing in Manhattan.
Right.
And then look at what they did on the West Side Highway. Down the whole thing, they made the park that whole ride from the whole Riverside.
Yeah.
It's all walks, parks, little trails and stuff, all the way down to World Trade Center.
Right.
And what about the High Line too?
The High Line, yep, all
That's
that over
cool.
there.
That's all greenery.
Yeah.
And everything.
Right.
It's really nice, and that's using an old thing that they couldn't tear down. It was more expensive to tear that down than to do what they did with
right.
the
Yeah.
house.
So right. If you can do that, that's fantastic.
This old train line.
Yeah.
They hadn't used it for like 20 years.
Well,
they
did
stopped using it in like the 80s.
Right. Well, they did that over there in Poughkeepsie, the walk over the Hudson.
Yeah,
they took the
same
old
thing.
train line and they just
they
paved
did
it
the same
out.
thing. They just So so that's what the High Line was like. I guess an experiment. Now other cities are doing it,
and
Poughkeepsie
it
did
works. It works. That's the things that that us as a society really need to start looking into. Not start looking into, continue looking into.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that are there we're not using, or it's just bad for the environment.
It's just a matter, right? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's just a matter of when everybody gets on board, and
Right.
it's the only way it's going to work. Or somebody starts it and it starts to just take off somehow, and then everybody starts doing it, kind of thing.
Dude, think of how many cars you've seen right now that are electric.
I seen a few.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's always arguing, it's the electric, it's the same thing, it's bad for the environment, it's this and the third. It's the same footprint. I don't know, man. I'm still...
I guess because of the batteries and everything.
Right.
That's the main issue.
Yeah.
But then, can you recycle? I remember I heard
And if
that.
those batteries go on fire, usually they're very difficult to put out.
Yeah.
You can't use water. They have to kind of suffocate it somehow.
That's the two biggest arguments for electric vehicles is the battery catches fire and recycling the battery.
Right. What's the point? If you can't do that,
those two things they can solve.
right, then they'd be as right as rain.
Yeah.
As right as rain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said,
And if they start work, go ahead.
If
If they start working on renewable energy, for our power grid, now you got green energy, because that's the third.
Well, that means
That's
money.
the third argument. Is the power grid's still using, fossil fuels,
Right, and we shouldn't be doing it anymore.
So if we can get the power grid,
and this is
green,
going to show us that.
electric vehicles, batteries not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
We're good.
Right.
Yep.
We're good. But those are the and they're all valid arguments, and those are always the arguments that come up. But they are valid arguments. So we got to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
but there's always baby steps to get to where you are. But unfortunately, how they get the material and who suffers for it, there's a whole, that's a whole other subject.
Right.
But the idea of it is the right idea,
Right.
and then hopefully hydrogen and fusion, will be a part of all that, where it won't do any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything that we can do to be 100% carbon free.
No, you get probably 80.
Right.
80%'s awesome.
Yeah, because there's just so many things that we use now that we've become accustomed to, that we need to make like that. Down the line, it's like now it's just, but it's going to be to recycle the stuff. So like now, when you can recycle almost any car, or newer cars, for or their parts and everything else, melt them down or do whatever it is to use it for a new car.
Right. They go junkyards and all that, of course, scrapyards and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the recycling part is necessary in order for it to be, for it to work. Otherwise, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah. And if this thing works out in Saudi Arabia, it's interesting. I'd really like to see what it looks like. And,
Because this is what we need, because we need renewable energy in cities, because if we don't, like, we're going to be running into problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the thing is always in the past, like, especially, you know, back in the day when, you know, in our like grandparents' time, like, you know, people were, you know, these issues, people would just go, we're about it down the road. Let them worry about it. We're not
which is the
alive
whole,
anymore.
that's the way we should be thinking.
Well, it's our time to worry about it, and they're long gone.
Right,
You know
they're
what
gone.
I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and we have to continue the pattern of keeping everything green and keeping everything, you know, renewable, and so we don't destroy our planet.
Yeah.
Because we only get one. You
Yeah,
know?
no.
And we could talk about traveling to another one, but that's
but then
neither here nor
ruins-
there.
yeah,
We got
ruins something else.
Right.
destroy
Yeah,
this
that's a
planet
whole,
before we even
get a
there.
chance to get out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, you know, we were talking about a little while ago about what cities, if we have any cities that you would have to redo a city or build brand new. Vegas is a perfect example of out in the desert like that.
Yep.
You know, they don't, you know, they're always knocking
Now
something
they're
down and building again.
Right, but they got that crazy globe now, that crazy big.
That too. Yeah. But that would be a good city because they're always knocking down and rebuilding to do something like the line
I
on
think
there.
because it's so flat.
Right.
The way
there's
that-
already stuff there. You know, the space is there.
They could easily incorporate a lot of those.
Yeah, real easy.
Absolutely, then would be good. They could
just
do
make
it
Las
too.
Vegas- They could just make
They'd
Las
probably be
Vegas
able to cool
Boulevard
it down.
a new line.
They'd be
That's
able
it.
to cool it down
Right.
to where it wouldn't be as hot as it was outside. Versus,
Right.
I bet you that'd
Call
be
it the
you know
money line.
that's awesome when they can control the temperature, their own
casinos.
environment,
Right.
which is be able to do that. So they'll be able to keep it cooler in that place than it would be outside. It could be like 110 outside, but it would be like 80 or 85 or whatever they would, what the optimal temperature would be that you would put out there.
And listen, I would love to see that happen like in Vegas. Minnesota, I think, would be a good place to do it because that's pretty flat over there. You know, places like that.
And in the very, very far future, or in a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we could have the in space a loop.
This
with the
guy,
circle.
no
You
more
know what I'm
sci-fi
talking
flicks
about.
for you.
A loop.
That was
Yeah.
in Obi-Wan they had it.
Oh.
It's a circle, like it's just a narrow. It's like
Yeah.
I think that's they might have got that. One of them might have got from the other because that's really what it is on land. It's just
Right.
because if you watch if you're like a Star Wars nerd in the Obi-Wan series, they do show it. There's a city in space that is like the same idea of the line, but it goes in a loop, like just in a circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I can
that's-
see
that's
that.
how, and I think that's how it creates gravity.
I was just going to say that's probably how they
might be
grab
what
it.
it
Yeah.
is.
Well, you see a lot of the futuristic space stuff, like in the movies,
They're circling
when they're walking, they're right, and it's always
Yeah.
spinning.
you know right.
Create gravity.
So that's the gravity
The
of the thing,
inertia.
which is actually it's a good idea.
That does make sense.
It's cool how they figure that out.
Movement creates gravity. Yeah.
Oh, that's good thinking right there. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because they did it in a couple of movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they did it with Matt Damon. That he was like he was a soldier and he had like robotics exoskeleton, and he was trying to get up into the sky thing.
Oh, to the sky thing. I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about the Mars one.
Oh yeah, no.
That's what I was thinking. That's where my mind was at.
But you know what? If that's what's going to help us, you know, move forward and do better, you know what? Granted, like you guys said, we're not going to probably be here for that, but it's cool to watch the beginning of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, know where. And you know what? I think that's something that, like, I remember I don't remember where it was some like philosopher or some historian that said one of the things that like our society has gotten away from is like people they would build something that they knew was going to take generations to build. And like people would just know, like they knew that they weren't going to see the final product, but they knew that it was this major thing that had to be built. It was going to take generations to build. Like, like the, I don't know if it was the Sistine Chapel that took generations to build, but like the pyramids took generations to build. Like we don't do that anymore. Like, so what's if it's something like this with these cities? Like we're thinking of the future and like.
And they start building them all over the place.
We should be, we should be like, we don't have to have it today. but we should be working towards.
Think how it would help the planet.
We should be working. Yeah, we should be working
be
towards a
huge.
future for a better today, and just knowing that we're paving the way for a better future. Should be something we should strive to look forward to.
Yeah.
Right. You know?
Yep. Because I mean, everything right now is just always about, nothing is built to last the way that it was back in the day. You know, between cars. I mean, we talked one time about the light bulb. You know. And it's because it's about the money, it's about the economy.
Then it'll get away from that at some point,
and that's hopefully
hopefully they'll figure out. Yeah,
right.
Which also plays into Star Trek as well.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. You're right, bro, because that's where it's at. That's exactly where it's at. Star Trek is. I mean, yeah, I'm a Star Wars geek all day long, but the reality I do believe is Star Trek.
Why can't we get our ideas from movies?
Of course, why not?
That's exactly what it came
from. Think of how long they've been doing it. It's been happening. Everything, a lot of stuff you get from sci-fi, right? I mean, and it winds up happening.
Yeah.
I want a
you're like, what the?
You
want what?
I want a food replicator.
Yeah, me too. That'd be great.
It's called a replicating machine.
I don't. Yeah, I think it's. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah, that's funny. But you're right. That would be awesome. Again, that's what we said before. That's where the phone came from. Star Trek, the communicator,
right.
And it opened up, and that's when we had the two-way radio, the Nextels back in the day. And I don't know. I think it's just a matter of what people are willing to do.
It's going to take generations for it to happen.
Definitely, hands down. But I do believe we need to start it, like you said, Tom.
We can't.
We did that.
It's someone else's problem.
Can't do that anymore.
Hopefully it'll become a trend, like he said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Us growing up, through our 20s, 40s, that was the quiet peacetime. It was like, all right, cool. Things are working the way they are. Now it's starting to hit the fan. Now we need to start looking
because
forward.
the environment's just going out. It's out of control. Well, then they just said, "Oh, you want to play? All right."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I got you.
The stuff we were doing,
I got you.
A lot of the stuff we were doing at the scale we were doing at it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But population's getting bigger.
Yes,
right.
sir.
And we needed to learn to get away from it.
Cars, it used to be like 2 per family. Now it's like 4 because
the kids grow up. They live in the house.
They have to have their own car. And,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, like, even over here, there's not the same kind of. So for us growing up in the cities, and even like in Jersey, there was more access to public transportation.
Yeah.
Here the buses are done by like freaking 8 o'clock.
Right.
We can't.
We're in the city. They run all through the through the night.
Yeah.
The problems is suburbia. Suburbia, not. Suburbs are not. Suburbs. Suburbs are not designed to be friendly for public transportation.
Right.
You have to have a car,
right.
or you have to Uber, or
right.
because nothing is close by. The neighborhood is in one section.
Right. Then you got to get to the store.
And the town section
right.
is, where all the commercial stuff
right.
is in another section.
But still, there's no public transportation either way.
You know what I mean?
There's no reason why there can't be a nice looking bus to go from here and take us down, be able to take it down the block. You know what I'm saying?
The city is more convenient because, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
The city is more convenient because the commercial space and the residential space are in the same area.
Right.
So you can, where you live, there's a store, literally, you could throw a rock at it. Yeah. You not even need to walk a block. You walk downstairs. You know what I mean? Like you live above, a lot of the spaces in the city, or like the stores are on the first level and the second, third, or.
Well, see, and that's why space, I think this, this thing is going to be, it's an old memory, an old thought, an old vision, brought back to life. So a bunch of years ago, they had the idea of building these super, high buildings, these tall skyscrapers, were to have businesses, have grocery stores, and have residential spaces in these super tall buildings.
Right.
Now here it is that they're doing it on a strip. I'm sure they're going to do it and put it in the buildings and whatnot, and it's a revisited amazing dream.
Now, from what
they should be able at some point convert the cities into the same kind of habitat that they're making in the line.
Have
They
you
should be able
read
to do that.
anything on the line? Are they doing any like I mean, obviously it's going to be residential space. There's going to be stores,
Right.
but for jobs, or is they going to have offices, like office buildings
it has
and
to.
stuff like
They
that?
have to because they want to
It's
be
a city.
self-sustaining.
They have industry where they're making and producing things, I
Right.
guess. So maybe like the inner walls are probably closer, are going to have more stores in residential, and the outer walls are going to. I wonder how they're zoning it. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
that's why we got to wait for now. Like we already know what the vision is. Now that once it's built and they do it, because now it's going back to.
Well,
Go ahead.
I got your answer.
Go ahead.
I asked it if there would be a working community
Right.
yeah.
in the line. It said yes. The line is designed to include working community. It aims to integrate residential, commercial, and industrial spaces within close proximity, creating a vibrant, mixed use of environment. Key features supporting the working community include business and innovation hubs, co-working spaces, industries and services, educational institution, and infrastructure and technology.
Well, you know what's I'm still thinking old school, because I'm thinking my space, like, how are they going to work with industrial space? Because like, isn't that going to cause pollution? I'm like, wait,
Right.
idiot, it's a green city.
Right,
There's
but
not
that's the
gonna be
thing.
pollution. The industrial space isn't going to be what comes to our minds when people say industrial. I'm thinking like outside of like Essex County, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right outside the city where all those smokestacks are
Right.
coming from, like Elizabeth down the Turnpike.
Right.
Like that's what I think when I think of it, especially living in Jersey. When I think industrial, I'm thinking of what people stereotype Jersey as.
Right.
That section
That's
I
it.
just described.
There's always
in Jersey.
something going on.
Yeah. It's always there are all these smokestacks, which
Right.
they've gotten slowly rid of because there's
Right.
The factories don't need they have better systems
Right.
Right, yeah.
in place.
So
But
it's going in the right direction. It's just at a snail pace, but it's definitely going.
but
It's definitely moving.
reason that comes to mind when I was like, I wonder what their industrial space, how they're going to work that, and I'm like, oh, it's a green city.
Right. You can have electrical bike. You can have electrical bike.
Electric bikes. all
Electric
day,
bike, I should
everything.
say.
Yeah.
Right. I see a lot of those. I've seen a lot of those around.
all over the place. Again, I think it's going to be super cool to see, the final, the final cut. It's going to be cool to see how they're, making the batteries. What industry is going to look like in there. If they're even going to build it on site. If they're going to have those kind of warehouses or factories or whatever there that's going to be shipped somewhere else to make it a smaller footprint. If they're going to try to make it where it's going to be one industrial city that's going to make it for the whole planet.
Well, this is what it says. Co-working spaces to support modern, flexible work environment. There will be a co-working spaces and offices designed to accommodate different types of businesses and freelancers.
Right, but that's
Industries
more,
and services. The city will include spaces for the various industries and services, ensuring that residents can find employment opportunities within the cities itself.
yeah.
So it's going to be a viable living place that you're going to be able to live in. Most likely have to pay rent. You still have a job.
Right.
You're getting paid for going to work within that area, which is cool.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
And then it would have its own economy and all that other stuff. I think all that stuff would be affected somehow.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. I mean, like you said, the renderings look freaking amazing, bro. That does look like a really groovy spot to go and visit.
what?
The renderings, like it looks like the whole city's gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
Those are
It does.
again. But if you look at Dubai, dude, you're gonna be like, oh snap! It looks just like that. Like it's almost
Really?
Dubai is more, like it's along the coast kind of thing, but it's built up tall and it goes in a little ways. It's not as green as the line is going to be, but it still has that basic idea.
The only thing I don't get with Dubai is, but I guess they do it just to for the grandioseness. It's like, why do they have police cars that are like Lamborghinis or whatever?
So listen, it's one of those things because I've asked that question myself, and it's a super rich place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So why not have
that
a
makes
Rolls
sense.
Royce police car? You know, the people that are living there, they're all billionaires. Not everybody, but they're billionaires. You know, so it's like they're funding this stuff.
Super crazy money, man.
Right. Well, how do you catch a Lamborghini with with a Dodge?
You know what's the most craziest thing about Dubai is because there's people are so wealthy there that like, a lot of these super sports cars, they're problematic, right?
Right.
So like when the car just starts giving them problems, they just leave it on the side of the road.
Yeah. Yep.
Just leave it on the side of the road.
Again,
Right, so that's not a sustainable environment.
No, it's not.
That's
But
just
that's
people being
right. That's just being gazillionaires.
Somebody, you know what I mean?
Listen, everything that I've ever read and
Polluting
seen,
a car.
Right.
Yeah, but the whole
Polluting
thing,
The environment and leaving your car there.
yeah.
Right.
Well, somebody else comes and picks it up, and then they just
And
rebuild
it must be nice, huh, to be able to do that.
Hell yeah. But
that's
Dubai.
just-
Yeah, it is. It's
crazy.
insane. It is. Dubai is very, like you said, because it's so rich, but they are still ahead of their time in a lot of things. Their buildings, their infrastructure is that of the future.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what they've done. Yeah, they got the Lamborghinis because it's just money to blow. Like, this is them. Like if it was us turning around and going to the junkyard and getting whatever bogus car for, $300 and putting it together ourselves. You know what I mean? The same idea with them, for that kind of stuff. But their buildings are state of the art. They're super efficient in the air conditioning and heating and everything else that they need.
I guess it's good they're going in that direction, so that's the right thing.
Again, they've realized that, they need to do something like this. They need to, get away from the idea of everything being fossil fuel.
Yeah, well, they eventually got to get away from it. I mean, it's just killing the planet.
Yeah, you got to see. I'm telling you, but you got to look at a bird's eye view of Dubai, and you will bug out on how the city is just laid out. And they're building more islands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're building more things because they wanted to. I know that they did one that I said it was the Tree of Life. Then they were doing another set that was if you laid out the globe, the map.
Oh, yeah, I saw.
Yeah, so that then each continent is an
You ever
island.
watch how they did it? How they did
Yes!
It's so cool.
It
They
is
have this
insane.
machine and
Yes.
like it dumps like the rock in and it these poles and they vibrate.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So it compacts better. And the poles just keep vibrating the sand in and
Right.
compacting it in.
Yep.
It's
Right.
like rock and sand and rock and they just build it up.
They just
and
keep
build it
pushing.
Yeah,
on
it's
it.
solid.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's freaking great. It's the coolest shit to watch. It's an engineering
Well, that's what I'm saying.
marvel.
I love all that stuff. That's the way we need to go, for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
It's
We're
cool
foolish for
because
not.
New technologies developed and like maybe it's developed for fun and for like what they're doing,
Right.
they're building a city and like, but now it's out there and say, hey, in the future, we're like we need to build maybe what's not the word? What's like not a levee, but like a sandbar or something like that.
Yeah.
They can build like these really sustainable, like to break, like it's for not for tidal waves, for like in where they have
Hurricanes and stuff?
tsunamis. They're to like break tsunamis and stuff.
Right.
Maybe they can build these in the ocean, like kind of like a
Right.
I always thought of stuff like hurricane, where they can build a wall.
Right.
yeah.
Or stuff like so the water doesn't come in, so because it always pulls the water in, where this wall will just come up mechanically, and just block everything.
That's what
off.
they tried to do in Louisiana, and it didn't work this last time that they did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's got to be a very difficult thing to do. I mean, that would probably take years for them to build something like that.
Yeah, listen. It is awesome that mines are actually still working.
Well,
if that makes any
I'm
sense.
glad mine is. That's for sure.
Mines are like actually working. Engineers are still there to do these things, And like I said, even if our grandparents and great grandparents we're not gonna be alive, let them do it. You know what I mean? We can't
Stuff
do the
like
same.
this makes me feel like we have a brighter future. Sometimes
Yeah.
it gets so dystopic.
I know, man. You ain't kidding.
Crazy society we live in.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like I don't.
When I see stuff like this, I'm hopeful for the future. I'm like, wow, we have smart minds.
Yeah,
There's people out there that are actually thinking about the same stuff we are. Only they know how to really do it. So that's the good thing,
somebody actually read a book.
Right? You're thankful for them.
Right,
You really are.
Exactly.
As long as it works, it's not going to hurt anybody, of course. And I don't think it would. I think it would be probably the best thing you could do, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, listen, this is gonna be good. I think it's gonna be really cool and groovy, you know. And I'm hoping that this is gonna be a step in the right direction, you know, for our future. I mean, shit, we got freaking sharks because the waters are so warm. They're, you know, here in New York, there's sharks in the beaches of New York.
I know.
Because the water's already is that warm already, up this far at this time of the year.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So, you know, the whole ecosystem is changing.
Yeah.
That's
again, that's Mother Nature just saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. So now you deal with it.
Yeah.
And then they'll get smart and figure it out and then do the right thing.
We need to get it going.
So,
So it sounds like a plan to me.
Well, that being said,
thank you, gentlemen.
It's our time.
Good fun today. That was pretty groovy.
Yes, sir.
That was an interesting one.
It was.
That's going to be one to we'll talk about that again. We'll be back in 2030.
We'll see.
That'll be the podcast in 2030.
Right.
To see what the line is going to look like.
Yeah, well, that'll be a good one.
Yep. We'll keep you updated.
Keep updated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All day. All right. So love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
And go vegan. And remember, stay on the line.
Allah.